Namaste India, this is Ravi Nahar, the founder of Ramayana Decoded, and today I'd like to answer a question which has come up quite often over the last couple of years. And the question is the Ramayana a mythological story, or is the Ramayana a true story? Did these events actually happen? Firstly, to be able to understand the Ramayana fully, you have to go beyond the senses. You have to go beyond the imperfect sensory organs and seek within. You see, if you have a golf ball sized consciousness, then you will have a golf ball sized understanding of the Ramayana. But if you're able to expand that consciousness, you have an expanded understanding of the Ramayana. And deep within each and every single one of us, there is this infinite sea of consciousness, this infinite sea of bliss, which is ultimately the whole entire process of Ramayana, which is a scientific process. It's the science of yoga. The Ramayana is the science of yoga that if you follow, you will be able to touch that infinite bliss of consciousness and fully understand what the Ramayana actually is. So how do you communicate such divine messages which are highly advanced from ancient India to ordinary human consciousness? And this was the challenge that the great sages of India, the illumined rishis, had, such as Valmiki and Vyas. They had to communicate a very deep esoteric message to future generations, such as the generation of our time. And this all falls in part to the yoga cycles, because the yoga cycles operate in such a way that there is a descending in mental virtue of mankind, or the ability of mankind to be able to grasp divine celestial knowledge. And then there is a rise in man's mental virtue and the ability to be able to grasp divine spiritual knowledge. And it works a bit like this. I'll draw it on the screen. So one yoga cycle takes about 24,000 years, and that is split into two. On one side, you have the descending in knowledge, and on the other side, you have ascending in knowledge. So the Ramayana was written round about the Satyug, and this was in the descending arc, and the Ramayana happened in the Treta Yuga. So the rishis of ancient India, such as Valmiki and Vyas, they had to communicate this message knowing that the deep spiritual esoteric message would not be fully comprehensible to ordinary human consciousness. So what they did was, during the time that they were around on earth, they took events of their time and events which were yet to happen, and they intermixed symbology with metaphors and simile, and they wrote a story through sutras and shlokas using the language of the gods, Sanskrit. And Sanskrit itself is, to me, not really a language, but more of a science. It's more formulas. It comes from the matrix of the Akashic records, which is a lot more complex than what we are led to believe in modern times. So Valmiki, for example, took events which were happening at his time, and also events which were yet to happen. And what he did was, he took those events and he put them into a story. A story, a journey. And a story and a journey is something which the ordinary human consciousness can relate to. You can associate to Rama's trials and tribulations, the sacrifices that he had to make, the difficult decisions that he had to make, the war that he had to fight, the backing that he needed from Vali, the friendship which he developed with Lakshman, and the respect which he had to give to Kakai, his stepmother. And in some shape or form, we can relate to the Ramayana within our own personal lives. And hence that was the reason why the rishis of ancient India, the illumined rishis of ancient India, whom are probably the most advanced civilization known to mankind, took these very deep esoteric, spiritual science and techniques for the realization of God consciousness and put them into stories so that we could relate to them. And through Ramayana Decoded, we bring out the true scientific and spiritual essence. So just remember, where the story ends, the truth begins. Thank you.